Hi and welcome to the Quick Start tutorial, where we're going to spend the next 5 minutes just taking you through the software and getting you familiar with Dryft. And we're going to start by creating a new transaction. And Dryft allows you to do this completely setupless. So in other words, you don't need to create all of your customers, you don't need to create all of your products, all of the setup that you would normally have to do perhaps in other systems. So the one thing I will say though, just to contradict that slightly, is that at the minute when you signed up, you've only put in your company name. So if you want to produce an invoice or a quote, then you probably need your company address, logo, all of those details. So to do that before we create our first transaction, we can go into company details, which is this icon here on the top right. And we can just put in our address, email and phone number, upload the logo, put in our VAT information, etc. I'll just do that now quickly. So with our basic details entered, we can now upload the logo. We just simply click this box here and then we can go find our logo image, and there we go. So when we're done, just scroll to the bottom and click save, and those details are in there for us. So we're now ready to go. So to create a new transaction, we just are already in the sales section when we first signed in or signed up. We can just click the plus button and then we're into our transaction screen. Now, obviously, when we first sign up, we don't have any customers, we don't have any products, but as I say, Dryft is designed to be setupless, so we don't need to put those details in. Now, if you have your data, your customer, product, supplier data, etc., in CSV files, then what you can do, you can go to each section, each relevant section, click customers, for example, up to the menu here, and you can click data import, and then you'll be able to import your data from CSV. There'll be a separate video going through and explaining how to do that. So back in sales now, let's go and click the plus button. We don't have any customers, so all we need to do is to type their details in, and then when we save the transaction, that customer record will be created automatically. So just put some details in now for this customer. And we can add a shipping address, we can add a customer reference, so for example their PO number, again, whatever information that we need. So now we can also select what type of transaction that we want. So at the minute it's gone for invoice, we can just drop this down and we can select quote, sales order, etc. So for this example, I'm just going to select a quote. Okay, and then we can also put the quote number in. Now this is a one-time thing. Whatever number that we put in is assigned to this quote, and then everything else will just accumulate from there. But this gives us the opportunity, without going into anything else, to set this up. So let's 500, there's the date, the expiry date, which is by default 14 days from the date. And now we can put in our lines, which can either be product lines or they can be free text lines. But again, we don't have any stock items or product set up, so we get no list when we click that. So what we can do though is simply just type it in as though it already exists. So I'll just put the details of a product in. So I've got the basic details in, a price. The VAT codes will be set up for us automatically. If you're in the Republic of Ireland, the system would have set itself up for your VAT rates as well. Okay, so if we want to put the cost price in at this point for this item, we can simply click this icon here, and that will give us the cost, so we can simply just enter in the cost price. Okay, and then we're ready to go. It shows a profit as well. And if we don't want to show that information anymore, we can simply click this and turn it off and on. So obviously we can add more items by clicking plus, and we can just go ahead and add more details. But for now, we're quite happy with this. So we'll just quickly preview it before we go ahead. Okay, and we can see that we've now got our logo in there, all of our company details, which you wouldn't have had if we hadn't have gone into the company details to fill them in. Okay, you can also select from other layouts, so we have a number of different layouts. So just click this little icon here, and then I can pick a different layout, for example, and I can use that one as well. Okay, so when I click save, then I get the other options to email, print, or export the PDF of the transaction. So we've done with our first transaction straight away, no problem at all. So if we go back into sales, and we can see that we've now got our first quote in there. So now let's take a look at what else that created in the software. So if we go to customers, we can see that created our new customer. Because we only put the name in and their address, we didn't get a chance to put the phone number or the email in. We can do that very easily. And this introduces us to another important part of the software, which is menus. So this little icon here with the circle with the 3 dots is the menu icon, and that's displayed at the side of every single record in the system, whether it's a customer, a contact, a supplier, or a transaction. And when we hover over it, we don't even need to click it. When we hover over it, we get some options. And the first one is the edit option with a pencil in there. So we can just click on that, and then we can come in and enter their email, phone number, contact information, etc., and then just scroll to the bottom as always to click the save when we're done. If we go into the product section, we can see that we've got our product that we created when we put the transaction in. We didn't get a chance to put a category, fairly straightforward to do. Again, come to the menu, same thing, edit, and then we can type in the, see, we've already got one in there, so let's select that one and let's save that. So if we go back into sales, just to prove the point, this also has the menu, and if we go over to that, we can edit the transaction to make any changes that we want. We can go back to sales by clicking the label, and we also have an option on here for convert. So if I want to convert that into an invoice now, simply click on it, and I can select to convert to an invoice. Okay, and then when we're ready, we can click convert, and that creates a new invoice for us, and we can see that here. And we can go in and edit that and make any changes that we need, but it's effectively the same details that's in there. So we go to products now. We can see that we've now got an in stock of -1 because we didn't have any stock before. The invoice has reduced it to -1. If I want to change that very quickly, what I can do is just hover over the amount and I get a little pencil icon here. And if I click that, then I can quickly just type in, actually, we've got 10 of those in, and save it, and then it will adjust the stock for you. The other way to do that is to use the menu, and we can also click on adjust stock as well. So if we go to customers now, we can see over by Richmond Fabrications that they've now got an outstanding balance for their invoice. And if we look at the top in the middle of the header, we get these options here, and these are what we call views, and each section has their own views. And views just give you a different way to quickly look at a different view of the same data effectively. So at the moment we're just looking at a straightforward view with their phone number, email, and outstanding balance. We go to the balances view, we're going to be able to see the aging balance for the customer. So we can see here that the balance is 13440 in November. If you want to age that by days rather than calendar months, then we can always just click on this option and then change that as well. Okay, so the views are great because they enable you to view data in different ways. So we can click the turnover to see sales and transactions to see the customer transactions. Just to finish off, we'll go into sales again. And let's say we want to have a look at this invoice. We're here and we want to see more details of it without having to go into a full edit or to preview the document. What we can do actually is to just double click. Okay, and then that gives us a snapshot of the transaction. And as we click through the list, let's say to the quote, then we can see what's going on there. Another important part of using Dryft, because it is tracking everything for you, is we have what we call a timeline. So if we come over here again to the menu and we see an option here for view timeline, if we click on this, we can see that it gives us the full tracking of what's gone on from the quote to the invoice. This is the same if you create it as a sales lead through to a quote, to a sales order, to an invoice, to a payment. It will give you that full tracking timeline there. The same applies in customers. We go to customers and we double click on the customer. We can actually see a little snapshot of their transactions, and we can just double click on one of these transactions to give us that snapshot as well. So we can always drill in very easily. If you can't see the information that you want to see, try double click. That's probably going to get you somewhere to drill into the information. So I hope that that's enough information to get you started. I didn't want to overwhelm you in this quick start video. Lots more videos that you can watch on the tutorial menu. Just click on the video icon on the top right, as you probably did to start this video. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon in another video.